All right, so today we're going to finish out overlays. Where were we? Okay, I think we had committed a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, I went back through the last video and I just committed all of the things that we did as separate commits. Okay, so then this and these are not ideal right now. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so we added overlays. It looks like okay, so it looks like what did we do last time? We added this data flow definition within the data flow type. Once again, we're going to unify all the types, but for now, we're doing we're just we're trying to get to the point here. So we created. Oh yeah, we were going to add. Okay, so basically, if you don't specify the overlays, you're going to get the default set. Okay, so overlay.load gives you the default set. Okay, so maybe we should have like an overlay.default. So this should probably be overlay.default. So if overlay is none, okay. So let's move this in. Okay, here if overlay is none. All right, so then let's go through and say, overlay equals overlay.default. Right, and then we'll go through and load. So we're just going to put a little wrapper atop. Okay, so uh, load defaults via entry points, aka installed plugins, installed data flows, registered as plugins. Okay, let's jump on over into the overlay infrastructure. Overlay, and we're just going to add a default method to that. Great. And actually, it's a class method. Right, so now when we call, so then class.load, data flow we already have. Okay, great. So then at the end of this, return the overlay. Done. Oh, you can't see me. Okay. All right, fantastic. So let's just do a little diff and what we got here. Okay, so okay, okay, I'm on the video. Okay. All right, so what do we got? So we changed things in two different spots. So let's just go ahead and amend, git add dfml high level, amend, right? So we'll go ahead, we'll just amend that one, right? So now we only have that overlay.default in there. And then, so this is overlay.default, maybe the overlay class, overlay.load. Maybe we could get the overlay class this method, and it'll be run or something. I think this is going to end up being, this will transform into an operation, right, eventually. But let's go in there and grab it right now. So, oops, yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay, let's jump down here and let's take this and say data flow equals overlay dot apply, right? So, and then we'll pass it the data flow. So, and then we'll just say, apply overlay if given or installed. Okay, so maybe instead of overlay is none, we should say overlay is uh, load default, right? So let's use, what is this, a sentinel value? Is that what they call these? Um, Load default, right? And then we can just create ourselves a little class, load default, and we can do what the nice folks in the data class library did. And we just say load default equals an instance of load default, right? So now now we can use the is keyword and we can pass in specifically overlay of load default, right? And then that will be the default value here. So let's go change the default value, right? So overlay optional data flow equals none equals, let's go here before we lose it. Oh shit, we lost it. Where did it go? The clipboard. All right, okay, so then this needs to go here and don't do that. And we'll call this what? Def apply, right? And so when we turn this into a data flow as class, right? So we're gonna have, even this can be a data flow as class. And this would be an operation. We do a data flow as class for an operation, and then we do we do an operation which the body is just this apply. We do a data flow as class for it, and then we do a data flow as class for it. That's it. That's it. Okay. And then I guess this overlays a specific instance. So I think we do a data flow as class where config, the config is the data flow. Config is the data flow, I think. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, so this will be an interesting one. Right, okay, so we said, let's split this up. Basically, this thing is going to, okay, so what if arrays, um, you know, this thing will blow up. That thing has to return overlaid. If it doesn't return overlaid, we're in, okay, results. That'll make it blow up. There we go. If there's no results, it'll blow up now, right? So it better get through that loop or else this thing is going to explode on us. There's our input validation. So sort of. Okay, so load default. Okay, overlay.apply. So if overlay is load default, then we load default. Let's grab that. We'll go here. Default, load default is so optional, or we'll just say optional is actually an alias for union. So you can have load default, you can have none, load default, or a data flow. Okay, so if you pass none, then you're going to get no overlays. If you pass load default, which is the default, then it's going to load the default installed overlays, right? Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. Because this will eventually, this run will become how we execute our system context, I believe, I think. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. Okay. Get a little diff. All right. Oh, fuck. Fuck. Fucking, fucking. Why? Why is this formatting things? Oh, I probably haven't formatted things in a long time in this branch. Fuck, okay. Hmm. Hmm. I wish I knew how to rebase and run a command on every command. Okay. Let's commit what we know is ours, right? So we know we just made these changes. We'll commit those. What is last? All right, so we look at the last commit here. The last commit was this overlay one, so we'll do ahead and give ourselves that amend again. And we're going to say get log-p, and we're going to check that out. Okay, so this is what our new, overlay keyword argument patch looks like. Looks pretty clean. So basically, we add this default. We allow for setting the the default is to load the system installed. You can override that and say don't use any overlays. Or you can provide your own data flow to use as an overlay, which is just going to run it right before. Um, so, okay, so doing this at the run stage. Okay, so doing this at the run stage. So, hmm. So you have a system context, you go to run it. Okay, you go to run it. Now you're going to apply some overlays, right? Um, so those overlays are going to provide. Yeah, I think this is right. Is this right? Okay, should we be putting this here is the question, right? Should this go within the system context itself? No, the system context itself is just whatever data flow you're going to run, right? So we're effectively creating a new system context. Let's make a note of that. This effectively creates a new system context, which should be some sort. Okay, so this system context, which it creates, is a direct ancestor of the one that got passed in and the overlay. Therefore, they are both listed in the input parents when we finally split this out so that run is called as an operation where the overlay is applied prior to calling run. Okay. So so what we just learned is basically this should, maybe we could do a little ASCII diagram. Perfect. Okay. So made, or wait, no. Okay. Where's our main graph that we were working off of? This is the wrong one. We want to go to the preface. Or no, wait, we want to go to the introduction context. Okay. Where is it? Here it is. Here it is. Let's break this guy out and update it. With what we just learned. So what did we just learn? Well, if we can see that. So Alice prioritizer, Alice run operation. Okay, yeah, we'll never be able to see in here. It's way too small. But we're going to update the diagram. So clean it up later. So execute on prioritizer. Or go ahead. So opimp ctx run operation. Outputs of operation become inputs to other operations. Okay. So this is the prioritizer. Okay, so basically what we're saying is before even the prioritizer, or no, yeah, the prioritizer. Okay, so goes in the okay, so we have a new operation. It goes into the prioritizer because we wrap the operation with the prioritizer. The prioritizer wraps with the, let's see. Oh yeah. In this case, we're going, okay, so this is Bob. So Bob, get a line system context. Okay, so what are we looking at? Okay, so the overlays. So prioritizer, execute system context, check on align system context, execute system context. Execute system context. Okay, new system context executed in-house. Okay, so execute this. Okay, so new system context, explore collaboration opportunities, get align system context. Context, align system context. Received timeouts. Okay. So where do the overlays fit in? So we want to put overlays on before we execute system context. No execution without overlay. Okay. Apply relevant overlays. All right, so apply relevant overlays. So basically, when we spin up a network, we are going to, or like, when we are, when we've got multiple, anytime you have multiple Alice's, right, or Alice and Bob in this case, right, um, you will, uh, you will deploy, right, with a given overlay. Um, so, um, Yeah, one thing that'll be interesting is revocation, because as you issue new versions into the network, you should basically say, oh yeah, well they're basically going to come knocking on your door every time they want an asset, and the service, the thing that, whatever part of Alice that holds your assets, for incentivizing reward that the versions which exist out there in the network, they will just, the problem is, the problem is, um, when we put stuff into this format and we say execute based off this format, Alice is going to just sit out there and sort of like be alive. Like, um, there is nothing particularly stopping these things from executing, right? Anybody can pick up any of them and execute them if they wanted to, because you're just putting a reference to some code, effectively, right? And the code is this system context. Um, so. Uh, so if you went and tried to execute it, basically, anything that did, asset movement would say, oh, this is an old version, right, of this, smart contract, effectively, right? This Alice that is your smart contract. Um, and so, we'll have to manage assets appropriately there. That'll be interesting. So we'll have to do some kind of revocation, right? Revocation is going to be central to this. Um, um, yeah, because, hmm. Okay, interesting. Okay, so apply relevant overlays content and overlays. Right, so it looks like we're just basically going to add this stuff in as an operation eventually. So we don't have, once we basically, so once we split out, think about the memory, the stuff that's in DF memory. We're going to split that all out into data flow as class, which means everything's going to be its own operation, right? So everything will just be functions, and it'll all be, data flow based. And then we will, um, via the data flows class stuff, and then, we'll basically just take this overlay stuff and apply it, right? Or well, we'll have a default overlay as a part of the default overlay. Um, we will apply to do. Um, so load default, by default it gets called. So, so the default overlay that we write, um, to do apply overlay. Yeah, the default overlay. So to do in non-default overlays, apply overlay to each operation after prior, let's see, after or before prioritization set spell, or both, could be even different overlays. Right, so basically what we're saying is that because we're treating everything as an operation, we can just simply, and everything as an overlay, when we do our top level application of the overlay, um, our initial instantiation of Alice, which is a running, running on some system, right? Um, we within that overlay say, okay, apply, make sure that every other operation when it gets run, every other top level system context when it gets executed, right, from its perspective, or sort of, right? So every other system context, you've initiated a system context, right? So you're providing overlays, and so when you initiate, when you run the other, like any operation that you run, you can look at it as a system context. When you run it, do you want to apply the overlays, right? You should do that within your overlay at the top level, uh, or you could if you wanted to, right? You could have done it already if you wanted. It doesn't really matter. You're just wrapping operations, right? So it's all the same. And then you're also wrapping with your prioritizer, right? So we should also say, to do use overlays to uh, enable to apply prioritizers to operations. Okay. Okay. So what was this? Do we have any changes to that file right now? Okay, we don't. Okay. No, we do. Oh no. Wait. Okay. High level data flow. Okay, so we can amend. All right, so that's the changes to that. Okay. So where is, okay, so there's overlay, so git add default overlay. And did we add, okay, so we added the default and the plugin type. Usually that's what we do. When we add a new plugin type, we usually add the, the dffml/name/name, and then, as well, dffml/name/ whatever the plugin type that we added. And then in this instance, we added dffml. So git stash -m overlays. Oops. All right, I meant to do git stash push dffml overlay. All right, git add dffml overlay, and then git stash push dffml overlay. And then what is all this? Is this all? This all looks like formatting changes to me. Okay, I think we can do that. And then we can do rebase. And and we applied our stash changes, and we get rebase continue. Um, okay, so we load the overlay. Okay. Okay, so we have to do this get multi-data flows merged operation, which sounds a lot more difficult than or it will be. So let's just do it. Okay, I hope that was okay. I think it was just because we're rebasing. Okay. Hmm. All right, let's go and mess around with that operation. Okay, so apply relevant overlays. Okay, so we don't even need this actually. This is just a helpful guide for us to figure out what we were doing. Okay. Oh, found this great. This ADX, or this blue sky thing looks great. We'll check this out. Okay, I'm hungry. Okay, I'll be right back.